I've been using AI tools daily since early 2023, and I started with ChatGPT, moved to Claude, tested Gemini, Perplexity, DeepSeek, and about a dozen others along the way. And the biggest thing I learned is that most of what makes AI useful has nothing to do with the AI itself. It has to do with how you set it up, how you prompt it, and how you decide what it should and shouldn't be doing in the first place. So over the next 9 minutes, I'm going to show you the 5 lessons I learned about AI that completely changed how I used it. The first and biggest lesson took me about 6 months to learn, and it's the one that changed everything else after it. When I first started using AI, I treated it like an employee. I'd say, write me a cold email for a potential client, or build me a strategy for this project, and expect something usable to come back. And every time, what I got was technically correct but completely generic. It read like AI wrote it because I gave the AI nothing to work with except a vague instruction and assumed it would figure out the rest. The problem wasn't the AI. The problem was that I was outsourcing the thinking. And thinking is the one part you should never hand off. After about 6 months of this, I started splitting every task into 2 categories before I even opened a prompt: speed tasks and personal judgment tasks. Speed tasks are anything where the value comes from getting it done and not from how it's done. Things like formatting a document, cleaning up data, drafting a first version of something routine, translating content, or reorganizing notes. These are the tasks where AI saves you the most time because the quality bar is good enough and the speed bar is as fast as possible. Hand these off completely and don't think twice about it. Personal judgment tasks are anything where the value comes from your specific thinking, your experience, your taste, or your relationship with the person receiving the work. Whether that's strategy documents, creative direction, client communication, hiring decisions, anything where your judgment is the product. On these tasks, AI should never be the one driving. You drive, and AI rides alongside you. The change happens when you stop using AI to replace your thinking and start using it to refine your thinking. So instead of write my client proposal, I write the proposal myself and then prompt AI with challenge every claim in this proposal and tell me which ones aren't backed by evidence. That's AI working on a judgment task the right way. It's making my thinking sharper instead of replacing it with something generic. And applying that exact same level of creative control to video generation is exactly why I use Higgsfield. Higgsfield is the best platform for AI video creation right now because it puts every top model under one roof. Instead of jumping between 5 different tools to compare Sora, Kling, Veo, and everything else, Higgsfield gives you access to all of them in a single dashboard. They also have Cinema Studio 2.5 for virtual camera controls and multi-shot sequencing, and they just launched a full audio suite with 11 labs built in, so voiceovers, lip sync, and translation all happen inside the same platform. So if you want to try Higgsfield out yourself, I've put a link to it in the description down below. Thank you so much to Higgsfield for sponsoring this video. The second lesson is about how you talk to it, because that's where most of the quality is actually decided. After 3 years, I've realized that the single biggest difference between people who get good AI output and people who don't is how they build the prompt. Most prompts fail because they're missing context, and not because the AI is incapable. If you type, write me an email to a client about a project delay, the AI has no idea who you are, who the client is, what tone to use, how long the email should be, or what the actual goal of the message is. So it fills in every blank with a generic guess, and you get generic output. I use a framework I call Build, and it works across every AI tool I've tested: background, use case, instructions, length, deliverable. B is background. This is who you are and what you're working on. I'm a freelance strategist preparing a pitch deck for a Series A fintech startup. Gives the AI a completely different starting point than typing nothing. One sentence of background changes everything. U is use case. This will be emailed directly to the CEO, produces completely different writing than this is a rough internal draft for my own reference. Telling the AI where the output is going changes the tone, the formality, and the level of detail automatically. I is instructions. These are your rules. What tone to use, what words to avoid, what to include, what to skip, how to structure the response. The more specific you are here, the less editing you do later. L is length. Always set a hard cap. Keep it under 200 words, or no more than 1 page. Without a length constraint, AI writes until it runs out of things to say, and it always has more things to say than you need. And D is deliverable. What should the final output look like? A 1-page brief with 3 sections, or a bulleted summary with action items, or a narrative paragraph, no headers. This tells the AI what shape to put the content in so you're not reformatting everything after. I'll show you what this looks like in practice. I'll type the same task 2 ways. First with no structure. Write an email about a project delay. Then with build applied. And the difference is obvious. The first email is generic and could have been sent by anyone to anyone. The build version sounds like me, addresses the specific situation, and I can send it without changing a word. This framework applies to every AI tool, not just Claude or ChatGPT. The model doesn't matter if the prompt has no structure. Build gives it structure every time, but writing a perfect prompt from scratch is only half the battle. If you type out those exact rules every single day, you are still wasting a massive amount of time. And that brings us directly into the third lesson, which is something I did not figure out until I had been using AI for over a year. At some point, I stopped thinking about individual prompts and started thinking about systems, and that's when everything completely changed. A one-off prompt gives you one output, you get it, you use it, and the next time you need something similar, you start from scratch. A system gives you the same quality output every time without rebuilding the instructions, the context, or the rules. Every AI system I build has 3 parts. parts. Saved instructions so I don't rewrite the rules every session. Reference material so the AI has context about my work. And a repeatable trigger so I can run it again in seconds. In Claude, this looks like projects. I have a project called Client Briefs with a set of instructions that tell Claude exactly how I want briefs structured. When a new client comes in, I open that project, paste their raw notes, and get a polished brief in about 90 seconds that matches my style exactly. The compounding part is what makes this worth the setup time. Every time I use a system and something isn't right, I tweak the instructions and the next run is better. After about 2 weeks of small corrections, my system stopped needing edits at all. The AI had enough context and enough examples to get it right on the first try consistently. So the rule I follow now is simple. If I'm prompting the same type of task more than 3 times, I build a system for it. The 15 minutes of setup saves me hours over the following month. Systems handle the repetitive work, but the 4th lesson is about something I should have figured out much earlier, which is that not every AI tool is built for the same job. I spent over a year trying to make ChatGPT do everything before I realized that different tools are built for completely different types of work. People treat AI like it's one thing, but right now we have writing models, image models, video models, research models, voice models, and code models, and they're all built for different types of work. Asking a writing model to do live web research is like asking a copywriter to do data entry. They can technically try, but it's not what they're built for, and the result shows it. My current stack after 3 years is something like Claude for writing, research, and code, ChatGPT for quick multimodal tasks and image generation, Gemini for anything involving massive documents or work inside the Google ecosystem, Perplexity for fact-checking and anything that needs live web data, and Higgsfield for AI video. The mistake I see constantly is people blaming AI when the output is bad, when the actual problem is they asked the wrong tool. A writing model is not a research tool. A research tool is not an image generator, and a general chatbot is not a video production platform. The quick decision filter I use is if the task is about language and reasoning, I go to Claude. If I need an image or a quick visual, ChatGPT. If I need real-time information with citations, Perplexity. If I'm working with a massive document set or anything in Google's ecosystem, Gemini. If it's video, then Higgsfield. Matching the tool to the task before you start prompting is one of those things that seems obvious once you hear it, but I spent over a year trying to make ChatGPT do everything before I figured it out. Your results will improve overnight just by asking the right tool, but all 4 of these lessons are about using AI more effectively at the work you already do. The last lesson is the one that expands what you're capable of in the first place. The 5th and final lesson is the one that took me the longest to learn, and it ended up mattering more than all the others combined. AI shouldn't just make you faster at your current work. It should let you do work you couldn't do before. The majority of people use AI to stay where they are but move quicker, write the same emails but faster, do the same research but in less time, produce the same reports with less effort. That's valuable, but it's the floor and not the target. The real breakthrough happened when I started asking, what can I now do because AI exists? Instead of, how can AI speed up what I already do? I'm not a developer, but over the past year, I've built functional dashboards, client intake tools, and internal automation scripts using Claude's artifacts and Claude Code. 2 years ago, every one of those projects would have required hiring someone. Now I can prototype, test, and iterate on my own, which means I move faster, I understand my own systems better, and I don't have to wait on anyone else's timeline. I used to spend full days preparing for meetings in industries I didn't know well. Now I run a deep research session, feed the results back to AI with a prompt like, based on this research, quiz me on the 10 things a client in this space would expect me to know. And I walk into the room with preparation that used to take a week. I started learning basic data analysis because AI can walk me through Python scripts step by step, explain what each line does, and help me debug in real time. A year ago, I would have called myself not a data person. Now I pull insights from spreadsheets that I used to send to an analyst and wait 3 days to get back. None of those things made my existing work faster. They made me capable of doing new kinds of work entirely, and every one of those capabilities is permanent. Once you learn it, you keep it, and AI just accelerates the next thing you learn after that. That's the lesson that compounds the most over time, and it's the one I'd tell anyone in their first year to focus on as early as possible. Don't just use AI to do what you already do. Use it to become someone who can do more. And that is exactly why the Build framework matters. It gives you the power to execute high-level work you could never do alone. So if you want to start building those skills visually, you can try Higgsfield using the link below. But expanding your capabilities does not have to cost money. I just posted a video breaking down 7 free Google AI tools that easily beat most paid options. Click the video on your screen to watch it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.